Welcome to Shooting the Shift. We're on episode 13, so thanks to everyone who's been tuning in and watching every week. I'm Bam. That's Matt.
Hi.
That's Bryn. That's Milton.
Hello.
And for the first time in 13 episodes, I've pointed in the right direction every single one of those.
Close enough.
So first thing is, last week's episode, all about starting out drifting. So I thought it might appeal to Bryn and Matt. We actually got a message over Instagram saying thanks to us for putting out such an informative episode. And they shared us in their story. So big thanks to the Speedy Boat on Instagram for dropping that message over. Actually, I really needed that this week. Just because I've been doing night shift with Matt, and it turns out they don't agree with me anymore. So I was feeling a bit crap. So we're kind of, this week, we've reached a natural point in what we're doing, and then something happened in the automotive media that meant we should probably do that point anyway. So, as we all know, earlier this week, Chris Harris of Top Gear fame put out this tweet. An influencer just offered my pal Litchfied the chance for him to put suspension on his Yaris GR for free and pay him £25,000 for the privilege, plus a percentage of future sales. He knows who he is, might tell you his name one day. Shameful. And from that, the car community has completely erupted. Very quickly, two people came to the forefront. So Shmi and Mr JWW came to the front of the queue for who it might be. We don't know who it is. It's not been confirmed by Litchfied or Chris Harris or anyone else who's gone, yeah, probably went a little bit too far with that. What we do know is Mr. JWW said he's never spoken to Litchfied, and then an agent was having an ongoing conversation with Litchfied on his behalf. So, take from that what you will. But the reality of it is, I think the first thing, and what we're going to talk about this week is sponsorships and how you do business in the car community when you've earned enough of a reputation to be going out and trying to get deals with people, right? So I've got a deal with Milton. Everybody knows that. We make no bones of that. I've got a deal ready to go with Matt. And one day I will have a deal ready to go with Bryn, so I can have the full set.
When he drives.
I am a deal-less entity.
And you can, and that's a really important point actually to make on this. You don't have to go out and do sponsorships and partnerships and whatever. You can go all indie like Bryn.
I mean, Chris was unsponsored for a long time. I mean, obviously that's slightly different, but he was all self-funded. And when we got to the BDC and there's a clause that says you have to have a livery, we were honestly thinking about putting a joke livery together that just had sponsorship here up the door and team no team and stuff written all over it.
Top Gear where they did that brand of oil down the side.
Yeah, stuff like that I'm sure would have got on it.
I genuinely wish you'd done that. I
thought it was a bit in poor taste, to be honest, because that's basically just turning up and swinging your member about, isn't it?
But some of the cars in there, they don't have a livery at all, but because they're all like Driftworks, some of them they're just orange, or there's some definite cars that don't have a livery.
Which, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's, if it's orange and you've got Driftworks down the side of it, it fits with their branding, right?
Their livery is an orange car with Driftworks written on the back quarter.
Yeah.
Which is just as well, really, because if you have to have a livery and you are self-sponsored like Driftworks, then there's not a lot you can do without just making graphics for the hell of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? Like, I think every liveried car should have a mental 80s style HKS livery. I love that 80s HKS livery. Like
the T-shirt I was wearing the other week.
Indeed.
I tend not to pay attention to what you're wearing, Milton.
The shirt that Milton was wearing last week, I believe, the Rad HKS homage shirt.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was wearing a VRS before, but it's in the wash. It was actually that one that's in Bem's picture.
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? It's yeah, but you're not. Let's face it. Your first ever deal you do isn't going to be getting someone to market their brand on the side of your car, because that is when you can turn around to someone and say, "Yeah, I'll do it for 25 grand." That's a. They're then coming to you at that point, and that is actually a very different conversation to you approaching someone and saying, "I would like to do this with you." So if I was to say, I don't know, turn round to the guys at Teg, I know them pretty well, I've been buying from them for a while, and say, I would like to do this. Can we put something together and I'll film an episode? I would still expect to pay full price for any parts. If they chose not to charge me full price, then that's their decision. What they're actually giving me is the ability to film in their workshop and put out content. And that content then helps Violent Running, and that's the way I make my money back from it. And that is a sensible way to have a conversation like the one that's been had with an influencer with Litchfield.
Well, that's the difference, isn't it? It's this alleged conversation that they had. When you approach a company like that and you want some form of sponsorship, you don't say, "This is what you are going to give me." What you want to be saying is, I want to work from you. What am I worth to you? Have a look at me. Here is who I am and what I do. What is that worth to you? You don't go in and say, "I want this stuff. You're going to give it to me," without any.
Yeah.
I think a point to also bring up is I prefer the term partnership to sponsorship.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
you are a working partner. You help each other in both. It goes both ways. They do something for you and you do something back in return for it. And that's how it works. That's a partnership.
Yeah.
Rather than it being a sponsorship.
Yeah, you're right. You're very right. Like Milton gets free stickers and puts my brand all over his cars on the stickers that I've given him for free.
And it's a partnership. You're working together.
Yeah.
The partnership, that's why I don't call it a sponsorship proposal. I call it a partnership proposal.
Yeah, exactly. And that is the other really important part of this. Certainly, don't hop on the phone, send an Instagram message, send a blind email that says, "I want to do this." Right? Take the time to build a relationship with someone to the point where you can go, "I'm sending out my partnership proposals this year. Do you want to take a look at it?" That is then putting the ball very much in the other party's court. Yeah, you're then not being excessively aggressive about it, and people respect that. In truth, unless they are actively out at an event saying they are currently looking for people to sponsor. So
Autosport that's where a lot. That's why Autosport for a lot of drivers is the best. I've known people that have come out with 50 grand worth of sponsorship because they spoke to the right person at the right time.
Yeah, I was having a chat with Morris a while ago about the 5 build, and they were interested in it. But I said to them, it wouldn't be right. And this is part of that partnership sponsorship thing. I could have taken a lot of free oil, at the very least, from Morris in that conversation. What I did was turn around and say, "My car's not going to be ready until I fix the rust repairs on it. Can I have an email address and we'll talk at an appropriate time that you're going to see a return on investment faster?" Now, I suspect I've got an advantage that I work in marketing, that I understand that, that level of conversation. But
I think the other thing to point out is, Bryn will probably remember this as well, that on Maximum Driftcast, they had Von Gittin Jr. on to talk about this very subject. And one of the things that he said, and one of the things that stuck with me, was if you're approaching a company for a partnership, they're not gonna offer you anything if you've got nothing to show for yourself. If you've never, so like me, I've never entered any championship. I've not got any trophies. My build's not out there on the internet. I've got nothing to offer them. So
you've not got a large social media profile, etc.
Yeah, why would they offer me anything? It's just not worth it to their time.
That's why a lot of Milton's lot and all the Formula G drivers a few years ago, you were all doing like this partnership proposal documents and websites and like PowerPoints and stuff, weren't you? To give to companies if you want to approach them like that.
Well, this is the thing. This is one of the other things that Von Gittin said was, when you approach these companies, go with a 5-year plan. They want to see what your plans are for the next 5 years, so they know what they're going to get over the next few years working with you.
That's what I've done. It's like Bam said, is I don't go in there going, I want this for free. I go, can we do something? I'm not asking for free, but I'm thinking we'll build up a relationship. I went to MTech and I paid retail for my conversion down in Wiltshire, MTech Automotive, and then I went back a year and a half later, or a year, because through my use, the manifold started to crack. It wasn't their fault. I went down there and they repaired it, and then they didn't charge me as much. But I didn't ask for any of it, and anyone asked me for it, I said, yeah, go down to them, speak to them. So it's all about, I scratch their back, and then where they can, they help me out.
Yeah. Well, there's kind of I think there's a bit of an attitude thing there about attitude, how you approach these kind of companies depending on who you are. Let's say you're somebody who's looking for sponsorship. If you're someone like Von Gittin Jr., then as Matt says, you go in with your 5-year plan because they know you're big and they know you're doing it, and you talk to them about it. If you're somebody like us, you don't need necessarily, I don't think, like the whole 5-year plan thing, because the sponsorship that you'll be looking for these companies is going to be quite small. It's going to be more like what Milton got from MTech there. You're proposing a partnership that at the beginning don't expect anything for free, but it's basically a handshaking of, I kind of want to work with you guys and just as a customer, and if they like what you're doing, then they'll start to give you a little bit, a little bit for free. I get this with, I'm not sponsored at all, but there are a few companies out there that I buy a lot of things from and work with, and people have offered me sponsorship before and say, do you want stuff for this? But I kind of say, no, I'm not who you're looking for. I'm not an influencer, and I'm not looking to build up this big profile. So you're not going to get your return from me, because I can't promise you I'm going to out loads of content and stuff.
I think that is, I think that's a good point though, because if you're going to go and approach a company to try and get a working partnership with, at least have bought one thing from them. If you go there and you've never bought anything from them at all in the past, what's the point?
And this is I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot right now, in all honesty, guys, and I'm gonna be really, really kind of blunt about something. So I as we know, I run all the Violent Running merch through the website, and I have
links in the description.
Yeah, links in the description as always. And Bryn will get this on the Rad store eventually. I promise you, it's coming, right? And what you get is people who send you a message and go, "Are you looking for reps at the moment?" And then you go, right. So you got your name on your profile. I'm gonna go check my order book, because I have everybody who's ever ordered stored in the website CRM, unless they've been asked to be removed, right? And we're not the biggest brand ever, so it doesn't take me long to run through at the moment. But I will always find these people that are sending me a message asking to be a rep have never bought from us. Never bought the merch. Never met me at an event. Never met anyone from the Violent Running team at an event. And it's like, it's that point of, I don't have the relationship with you. I don't actively go out and look for reps. What happens is I get to know Matt, I get to know Ryan, I get to know Bryn, and I go, guys, do you want to work together on some stuff? And then 5 years later from that point, we end up on a podcast stuck in the middle of lockdown.
Yeah.
Chatting the breeze every week. But it's I personally think that, and that is the way I approach everything. Yeah. I think I could probably turn around to the guys at Tag, maybe some of the people I know at Talk GT, and a few other companies where I know people, and say, can I borrow a little bit of space to do something, or can we film something in your workshop? Yeah.
And that's kind of what this comes down to. You kind of get the idea that in the social media era, what people are looking for from sponsorship seems to have sort of changed. There's this idea now, because of all the stuff you see and all the partnership you see on the internet, I'm sure that's where it comes from, that sponsorship is about getting free things, and influencers, that's what they do and that's what people are looking for. Whereas actually what sponsorship should be, is just a way for you to do what you want to do and not cost as much. You're not going out and saying, I want these free things that are of no benefit to me. You should be going out and saying, right, I want to do this championship, so I want to talk to people and get my costs down without, they're not just giving you free stock, but they're going to give you maybe a bit of their time or a bit of their expertise, something which to them has value but doesn't have cost. Somebody can work for an extra half an hour a day and it doesn't cost them anything, and you get something for free and you both get a benefit out of it, is kind of what you should be expecting, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And that is, so to put the cards on the table, there's people here that are involved in that relationship. The way me and Milton work things is Milton puts stickers on his car and I will go and use my camera kit, my editing software, and film Milton at events whenever I get the chance.
Oh, we did for Coventry. We did a whole section.
Exactly.
You even gave me one of your cameras, and
yeah,
it was running and it was brilliant.
Yeah, and then I got to go out in the car, and then I get because of that, the other thing I get, which is quite good fun, is when Milton's on the parade lap, I get to sit in the passenger seat of the car, so I can shoot him doing press ups on the roof of the car while he's driving past people.
But I mean, I've got a similar deal with one of my friends. So it's Southbourne Photography, and obviously Bryn and Milton have met her. She's on her own. She normally does wedding photography, but she's we're friends. We've been friends for a couple of years. And I said, "You interested in automotive stuff?" She said, "Yeah, I'll come down." To be upfront, our deal is I run the sticker on the side of my car on both sides. I promote her social media stuff and posts and stuff as she goes along. I pay for her ticket to get into the event that we're doing. So we did Superpro and Rockingham a couple of years ago. I paid for her entry ticket. I give her free rides as passenger rides throughout the day and stuff like that. And she takes photos and we get all of those for free. And it's one of those deals where I'm out of pocket for her coming along, but I'm also not paying for the photos at the end. So it's one of those where I'm gaining and she's gaining with all the social media stuff as well.
Actually,
they were so good.
They were.
The other side of that is then when you're putting together your driver book later on in your career to send out to people with your 5-year plan in, you can turn around to your photographer and go, "Can you come down?" Yeah.
Well, this is the flip side of it. It's I needed some high quality professional photo, and this is the way of getting it. And it's all well and good going to an event. So, for example, if you go to Superpro, the Driftwood Brung Day, you have Ian Blackett there taking photos. The flip side of that is he's taking photos of everybody at the event. So he has to try and take an even amount of photos of every car that's on track. Whereas bringing Harriet down to an event, she was only taking photos of us three. So we got, I think, between us about 300 or 400 photos.
Go on, man.
And it's a lot of photos.
The good thing about
They
that
were full
is
quality.
It's not a diss to any photographers, but they're taking photos of everyone to try and get a broad spread.
Yeah.
But if you have a photographer for you, they will get every cool moment. Oh, did you see that when we was right here? And then Oh, I must have missed it. Sorry, I was talking to them or.
Yeah, and this is what I said to her. It's like, right, okay, this obviously, you know my car. This is Bryn, this is Milton, this is who I'm driving with all day. Take photos of the three of us, please. And I said to her, look, you're at the event. If we're not on track, we're changing tyres or in the queue. Take photos of everybody else, make a generic album with everybody else in, and we'll share that online as well to get you some more exposure. But obviously, as you see us come out, abandon everybody else and take photos of us because that's what you're there for. And that's exactly what she did. And she had a good album of 400 photos of everybody else. But we had 400 photos of just us. So the concentration is obviously leaned more towards us.
And if you are a photographer, those are generally the two ways of doing it. You take photos of everybody and you charge not a lot per photo and people get their photos, or you specifically seek people out and you are their photographer. And quite a lot of the photographers, certainly in the Drift Championship, and I'm sure it's the same everywhere else, do that. They have a number of clients, they have a number of slots that they've worked out. That's how much work I can feasibly do in a weekend. And those drivers will just get so many bits of media.
I can say that for a fact because I've done work with Rob Borick from Everything Drift, and he didn't ask for any money. He was there with another driver. I said, I've seen your photos. Can you take some of me? He did, and he showed me, and then I paid him without him asking any money. I may not be able to pay his fees for what he pays for everyone else, but I pay what I can, which is then now he talks to me all the time, and even on my partnership proposal, he put it into a format and made it really nice.
And that's the thing. Like I would never go out there looking for a sponsor, right? Partly because I am never ever going to recommend a company or product that I haven't used myself.
That's a big point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when I was.
And that gets down to the stuff like when we were doing. You're right there, Bryn, mate.
Down the wrong aisle. Carry on. He's on mute, so he'll come back.
But this does go back to the point I was saying of I wouldn't approach somebody who I've not bought from. I want to work with people who I like their product anyway.
That's a really good point.
I think a good example is Mighty Car Mods. Assuming everything they say is genuine, which I think they are. We all. I really think,
yeah.
For years and years and years, they've always gone, we use Ryobi products because we like it. We're not sponsored. We just like their stuff. And that's why we use it. And then it's not until very recently that they've turned around and gone, well, Ryobi came to us and said, we want to sponsor you. Like
last few years, wasn't it?
Yeah. But you want to work with people with products that you like.
On that
not
point,
just
though,
because it's free.
Just in case anyone from Ryobi is watching, I use your tools. And use them quite extensively.
That also does kind of happen the other way round as well. I've had a few times. Product placement.
Milton's angling for someone. Who's that there, Milton?
That's Milwaukee. Just saying. Milwaukee stubby ratchet is the best thing ever. Just saying.
Yeah,
just saying.
I kind of have had that the other way around as well. Is you say use products that you like. I think I sort of have a bit of a reputation as somebody who is outspoken about things in community. Yeah.
No,
I don't believe
Brent,
it.
are you talking about engineering things where you tell people what's wrong with their designs?
Yes, I can't help it, and I think people now know that is a thing I will do.
Like when they cut holes in things and make stress points.
On the flip side, though, in a way, that has been my benefit once or twice, because I've had people who obviously know who I am, not just random companies. That would never happen. But people who know who I am will offer me a product that they are making, and I get a bit of a discount or something on it because they really, really believe that it's that good. If you're going to offer me something, it better be good, because if it's not good, I will tell you about it.
That your bash bar site, wasn't it?
But I think that's another good point, though, is it's important to have an unbiased opinion. especially if you're this sort of person that reviews stuff and puts stuff out online. And that's important for me. Is if I find somebody on YouTube, for example, and they review stuff and they give everything a glowing review, it's like, I don't trust you because you give everything a good review.
I mean that's where, like, every time we talk about suspension, I will always say Tyne, and I know you guys always say Meister, but the reason I always say Tyne, and I always say go to now coilovers.co.uk, but before it was Tag, but Tag have got their own full coilovers website now, is because the customer support I get from Tyne is amazing, absolutely amazing, to the point where I've turned up at a show and a 2-dayer, they have put in a phone call to Japan in the early hours of the morning to find out if they can supply me with a part that doesn't exist in the UK book. Yeah, and that's them. Actually, they don't get commission. That then has to go through one of their retailers. Because that's how they work. Because they won't deal with me direct, because Japanese business doesn't like to export direct.
I think that's another good point though about companies that you work for, and it's not just about the product itself. It's the aftercare and the customer service and everything you get around that as well.
Yeah, and you can guarantee my relationships with companies, actually not even companies, specific people that work at Tagiwa and work at Talk GT and work at a few other places. Those relationships, actually, a lot of the time, especially with my collection, I'm not buying parts that are on their website. I am making a phone call and going, "You're right, mate. Look, a little bit of a favour to ask. I've got the part number. I know where I can get it from, but I need to get it into the country." Right? And that's another way of building a partnership with someone. You get a reputation for bringing in really weird stuff, right? I am known at a couple of companies for just finding stuff that shouldn't exist.
I mean, when you buy a car that they only made 1,000 or less of in another country, you kind of have to do that.
Yeah, but like it's things like, why did HKS make an intake for a Honda Spike? And more importantly, why did I even think to go and look and find out if they did?
Because you're a brand snob.
It's not because I'm a brand snob, it's because I'm an idiot that likes expensive parts.
Or that, yeah. Does that
seem... So that's a good point though. When you stop becoming a brand snob and sort of loyal to one brand who you then want to be a partner with,
that's quite a hard decision, because
draw the line?
For example, I've got the Milwaukee stuff. It's just to, but then say if Ryobi messaged me saying, "Yeah, we like what you're doing. We'd like to give you some tools." So I like the Milwaukee stuff, and I got that because I read reviews and watched people use it, and I've used it myself, and I like it. But would the Ryobi be good, and will I feel like...
I really like my Ryobi tools. They survive my workshop, and for people who don't know what my workshop is like at the moment, I think, Matt, you've been, haven't you?
Yeah, you go in and you breathe in cow excrement.
Well, that's what you get for having a workshop on a working dairy farm, Matt.
But you breathe it in when you walk in. That's my point.
That's because the cows live right behind my workshop, Matt. Like, you can go and I have been known to just go and pet the cows through the back door of the workshop.
Yeah.
I can literally stroll into their bedroom.
But anyway, Bam.
Back to the point. If you go and look at my toolbox, it's full of completely different branded stuff.
Yeah.
And if I have to, at this point, I've got no sponsors. Nobody's, I'm not required to buy from anybody. So when I go out there to buy a new tool, I will do my research and find out what the best tool at my price point is that I can afford.
Yep.
And that's generally what I'll do with parts for the car. And majority of the time, you look at suspension, for example, you look at Meisters, HSDs, BCs, Tyne, and across 90% of the coilover itself, they do the same job.
Yeah, I'd find it really hard to say if we had one car and it had Meisters on it, you go do 5 laps of a track and then you put a set of Tynes on it. I don't think the same driver would notice a difference.
I'm going to tell you I am going to tell you the same driver will notice the difference.
Well, if they had the same spring rates and stuff.
If the same same spring rate, same damping, exactly the same
The
setup.
problem there is they don't have the same spring rate, the same dampening, or the same quality of build.
That's where the differences come in.
The quality of build, and I've had this confirmed to me by multiple people, between the top end of Meister and the bottom end of Tyne, there is still a difference in there.
Fine. I knew it was coming.
Well, this is the thing, though. When you're going out to buy stuff, that's the thing that you struggle to find is how they are after 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
You can find out what something is when it's brand new and it's been on the car. You try and find out what a set of Meisters are like 4 years after you've bought them.
I know what my Meisters are like 4 years after the guy who owned it before me bought. They've got a groove in it where the wheel hits the suspension strut.
I mean,
That's not the suspension's fault, is it?
The
Oh,
spring-
yeah. High five, Bryn.
Wrong
Wait.
side.
Rehearsed.
I cannot. The only way we're gonna do that actually, and I'm gonna do like a walk around video of the car at some point so people can understand why we're doing this. Is we're gonna have to roll the arches on it when we're sorting the rust on the arch, because I need to dial -6 degrees of camber out to stop the wheel hitting the suspension.
Well, yeah.
I think that's one other thing that everybody should expect from us is walk around of all of our cars at some point.
Yeah, that is all coming.
Oh, God.
When we're allowed to be in the same place.
Oh, God, I'll have to polish it so it's not pink.
Have you
So
seen
it's all right.
my
You're gonna come down and look at my RX-7 where there's nothing bolted to it.
Bryn, I can fix that in post. It's fine.
You can't. It's really hard to fix in post when all the panels are a slightly different shade of pink. It's real hard.
Yeah, Red Car Club.
But anyway, back to the topic, because we've been waffling on for a bit now. I genuinely, as someone, so looking at it from the other side of the coin, right? Not me going out driving, doing things, but me running a business in this space, be it tiny. What, Bryn? What are you shaking your head at?
Milton did a awful joke.
Oh,
What joke did Milton?
He had a coin. He had the coin and flipped the coin. Sorry, man.
It's all right. That was a swishy thing
Tomfoolery is
again,
over.
thanks to Milton. He always has to do a dad joke or be an idiot, and then we get a swishy thing or a really
that was a
loud
brilliant joke. I'm just
It
gonna
was
put
a
it
good
in.
joke.
It was funny.
Do continue.
On the side of the coin.
Yeah. So on the other side of the coin, don't do it again. I genuinely when I'm looking at stuff. So someone will send me a message, and I do actually read and look into everybody who sends me a message that says, "Are you looking for reps at the moment?" Because I want to make sure that I've not hung about with them and said send a message to me. If I've said send a message to me, right, you will have. Oh, they're not up there today. They're down here today. You will get one of those, and I'm not flipping it round because it has my direct contact details on the back. So you do not need to message me on Instagram. The way to my heart after I've spoken to you is to use the contact details on that, and then we'll talk.
I didn't do that.
No, you didn't, because I approached you, and that's the other side of it. You know, if a business really wants to work with you specifically because of what you can offer them or what they think you can offer them, then they will come to you. I went to Milton because Milton is a good driver. Milton wins races most of the time.
It.
And,
Carry on.
And he's got a few trophies, and he's a good mate, and I can count on him not to be too much of a goody two shoes given the branding that we operate. Yeah.
That's what a lot of it is, though. It's personal relationships with people. A lot of what a partnership will get you is somebody's help or experience or something they can offer you more than just free things. There's companies out there. A lot of them work with.
And this is why I'm going to be working with Matt as well. And actually, one of the reasons I gave him a job working for the company I work for in the daytime is I know Matt's reliable, right?
I like his engine. Sorry,
Still
Matt.
in the kitchen. It's not broken down on me yet. It's still in the kitchen.
It's not broken down on him. It's not broken down on him yet because it's not been put into one whole piece.
Where a washing machine belongs.
We love you, Matt. It's fine.
We really,
Alright,
missed,
in the
we
garage,
really
you've got
missed you
Louis.
last
Hang on.
week, Matt.
Bam, what, before you... We take the mick, but we all know that as soon as your engine's built and your car's running, we all really, 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 really want to go.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
love rotaries. It's a washing machine, and all the apex seals will leave, and blah 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 blah, but still the best.
Bap, 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 bap. Sorry.
So and I will get the first dibs on that because he's going to be in a partnership with me.
Yeah, it depends if you've learned to drift by then.
I just drive it in a straight line down pod.
That works.
Bam, I've got a good point where you said that it's not always about getting free parts, because I've worked with Bryn a lot with my suspension, and well, since we were friends, I've been, why do top teams do this or do that? If that was parts, I bet it'd come to thousands. The amount of advice I've had of him and hours of, why can't I get my drive shaft out? He said, well, if you hit it this way, or do that, or do this, and now my car is the best it's ever been because of advice from him.
Yeah,
and
so if you talk about what, kind of interestingly, earlier you said about both of, well, no, Matt's up there, or wherever Matt and Milton are. Matt and Milton both said about the difference between partnership and sponsorship, actually, is, partnership's working with somebody, you both get a mutual benefit. Whereas I guess sponsorship is somebody giving you things for free, whether it's their time or experience of things, just because they like you and they want to help. Which is kind of what I'm doing for Milton in a way, I guess, because
so I would
not that I don't get a benefit, but I don't get a direct benefit. You don't advertise me because I'm not doing anything, but the
because you don't want advertising.
Well, yeah, but the sponsorship there is that I want you to do well and I want to help you out,
and you enjoy it. So it's
kind of
but what you've got to remember as well is, and this comes back to sponsorships and people wanting to work with you. The second, right? Just so all of our audience, all of our fans know this.
OnlyFans.
Yeah, we're gonna set one up. We're gonna put you on it.
I'm game.
We need to fund this channel somehow. We've got far too many expensive ideas. But one of those things about us all knowing Bryn and knowing he's a good engineer, and actually knowing that Bryn will tell you when something's broken and the design's not right, is that when Bryn designs a part, we know it's going to be right.
Oh, I don't know.
Like the tow bars for Juice body kits coming soon. In the group buy.
Let me rephrase that, Bryn. When Bryn designs a part and puts it on general release, it's
that's the difference.
And like, if someone turns around to me when Parts by Bryn, name to be defined yet, eventually exists one day, because it's going to happen, right? Either Bryn will set it up himself, or I will make enough money to turn around to Bryn and go, come and design parts, and we'll call it Parts by Bryn, and I'll do all the grown-up commercial, and you can just play all day, right?
He said a swear.
Oh, I did!
We've been trying not to swear all episode.
You almost slipped.
And the worst bit is, I thought I was getting out of cleaning up the dog poo in my back garden.
You spoon.
You've got to help him now.
I've got.
No, it's first.
It's first. No, that's fine. I lost that. I'm willing to accept that. I don't think my one was a proper swear word though. But then I'd also, in many cases, argue that Bryn's isn't a proper swear word. If you're listening, Google advertising. So, and that's the point. I
think Matt had a point.
Did you? What was
All right,
the point?
Bam was in the middle of a point.
Yeah, when all that happens at the end of the day, Bryn has a reputation that people are willing to say what this guy puts out is good, and you should go buy that stuff over far bigger name brand stuff, and that's why Bryn will inevitably be successful in it when he gets around to doing it, because people can trust his work.
Bryn doesn't like being talked about in nice ways.
I know.
Why do you think I made an account called Rear Axle Divergence where I never put my face? I like being unknown.
Why did you join a video podcast then?
Do you want me to send you...
It wasn't in the contract. This bit wasn't in the contract.
Do you want me to send you the panda mask, Bryn, and you can do every episode in that from now on?
Oh, I've got the VRS mouse, but I can't get it off the thing.
And another point I want to bring up as well is more to do about branding and stuff like that. Is if you're out there and you're working on your car, and I'm building a drift car, and if somebody comes to me who doesn't fit my branding, I am well within my rights to say no. I could be building a car and a vacuum cleaner company comes to me and says, we want to work with you. It's like, well, you don't really sell stuff for cars.
Oh, no, Matt, you should, because the vacuum power and your car will have equal amounts of power.
But he's kind of right. Consider what you need.
Yeah.
That's the thing, isn't it?
Also, sorry for anyone who was just deafened by the crackle of Bryn's mic.
But on the back of that is if you've got a working partnership with somebody and you feel you're not getting what you were expecting from them, you're well within your rights to go to them and go, right, we need to talk about this and review it. And if they don't want to budge, you're well within your rights to say, right, okay, that's the end of this partnership. Because it's got to work for you as well. There's no point in going out there and making all that effort and doing all the things that they want to not receive anything back again, especially if it's a partnership.
Matt, did you just give us a respect yourself speech about business?
Yeah.
Know your worth.
And to be honest, that's exactly what Von Gittin Jr. said in that podcast.
And actually, this is part of the problem with the original topic, with the, we will not refer to it as the Mr JWW gaff. We'll refer to it as the Chris Harris tweet because it's not been confirmed who it was yet. So, Chris Harris has put out the tweet, and that is well within the business's right to have a chat with a friend and moan about that. Yeah, that's the nature of life. If you interact with a business in some way and you have been less than friendly or unhelpful, they're probably going to stress them out. They're probably going to talk about it to somebody, right?
It goes the other way as well.
Yeah, and it'll go the other way, and that's how reputations are formed around an industry.
Got a point on that. I'll come back to me.
But whoever has made that request of Litchfield, A, has not understood their value and their worth, and B, has not understood Litchfield's value or Litchfield's worth. Because when you are the premier place to take your GTR for tuning in England, you do not need someone's buy-in for fitting suspension to a GR Yaris.
And I think that's a very good point as well, is your approach to a small business, such as Violent Running, for example, we're still a small business, we're still essentially a startup.
Yeah, and we feed a lot of mouths, actually, with not a lot of money.
But your approach to a company like that is going to be completely different to approaching someone like Nismo.
Yeah.
It has to be, because the same approach to both companies will not work.
No, because if you come to me and you demand 25 grand, I'm just going to laugh in your face. Because I haven't got it. I don't have 25 grand's worth of profit left to just go, there you go, mate. I don't have 25 grand's worth of profit left to pay me.
You ain't got 25 grand worth of products, let alone profit.
I think that's a good point, though, because these bigger companies they're probably going to have a budget for sponsorships and partnerships, whereas smaller companies probably haven't thought about it.
Then it won't benefit them.
Yeah.
Go on, Brim.
Well, that's the thing. In all of these situations, whoever you're approaching, possibly even more so for a big company, but you have to provide them with something that is worth more than what they're going to give to you, because at the end of the day, the big business especially wants to make a profit. Small business, slightly different, because as we've kind of said, you probably already know that to a degree where actually a bit of it is going to be because they want to help you. They're going to give you something that they won't get back because they want to help you. But ultimately, you've got to provide more value than you take away. Otherwise, it's not worth it for them.
Yeah. That has to work both ways.
And actually, getting to that, one of the bits of value that Milton provides me is we get to do these awesome competitions every now and again where someone gets to go out with him, And every now and again, that lands with someone, right? That changes the way someone views the world. And that's quite a special thing to be able to give someone.
Also quite humbling as well when you see, like, if you got them on Facebook, you see them, oh, how was your show, how's the event? Oh, we saw these cars and I got to go in a drift ride, and no, look, you made their day special, even if the tiniest amount. That's why I do the drift rides. It's when you get to take kids out and they're smiling and happiest because they've had some fun.
One of the greatest moments I've ever had at a show actually was I went up. I had my goddaughter with me. I went up to see Milton at the Drift Taxis just to have a chat about a competition we were going to put on. And Milton just turned around to me and went, "Do you want to take her out? We'll take her out in the car." And that made her day. That genuinely made her day. Like, she was the happiest little kid ever because she got to hang out with the race car driver.
But that's the thing. It's the small gestures that make the most impact. Like, it was we did a similar thing at Rockingham. I think Bryn was there, but not driving. I don't think Milton was there actually. And we had our mate Malk, who drifts S14 normally, was there with a friend of his, and he works. They're an engineering school, I think. And basically, the long and short of it is that they built a MX-5 race car, and Malk had the deal with Rockingham that he could go and test it at the lunch break and do some drifting in it and give them all some passenger rides. And what ended up happening was Malk's car broke after about an hour, and he turned around and said, "Well, we'll drive it all day. We'll give them passenger rides all day." And there was me, Chris, Lewis, I think one of the Ben in MX-5s as well. And what happened was we banded together, the 5 of us, and gave all these kids passenger rides all throughout the day. And we absolutely made their day because they weren't expecting anything to that degree. And it's one of those things, it's just doing something for the sake of it.
And
because we knew that was going to make them happy. And it's that sort of working relationship that you've got to get.
And that's
the good thing about that is as well, sorry, Bam, it's not just asking companies, it's also helping your friends. Because I needed new bushes. So I spoke to people I race with because they must have done it as well. And Mike Loon told me to go speak to the guys at Superpro. He gave me someone's name and I spoke to him. I didn't ask for a discount. I said, I was speaking to Mike. He said, look, I should get some Superpro. I think I need this, this, and this. And then just let me know how much. And then we got talking, and now I've done all my car, and then I had to redo them for my new suspension arms. And he did me another great price. I didn't ask for a discount. The only thing I asked was stickers.
I think that's a good point, though, is if from Superpro's side of things, what they benefited from a partnership with Mike, it's his trusted word that he's giving out to you. So he's given his word to you to say Superpro are the ones to go for. You've trusted his word, and they've just gone straight to them and bought what you needed.
Because that is not, they say if they gave him half price and they gave me 10% off, that 10%, they're still getting 90% of more than they wouldn't have got if I'd have gone to Powerflex or any other company.
And that's it. They've gained at least one sale from him doing that, and he can do that to 10, 20, 30, 40 people.
And I've done it, and then it snowballs. And
that's a difficult one to quantify if you're a business. What you're getting out of something like that, word of mouth, somebody's trusted word is.
It is,
but that
is actually a problem that Matt knows I deal with pretty much day to day in the day job, as well as at Violent Running, is looking at how we apportion value to a marketing campaign.
But that's where you'll see. Sorry, just to make a point there, is that's where you'll see when you have some people that have working partnerships or sponsorships with companies, they'll have their own unique discount code, and that's how companies track
that as well.
That's being used or not.
And that's actually a really important thing to remember, right? If a business is taking the time to build a partnership with you, they're investing time and probably money in you, right?
But they may never see it back.
They may never see it back is the first point. But the second point of that is, don't ever get it twisted. There might be your friends outside of business, but you are effectively, in the nicest possible way, a marketing campaign to them. Especially especially if it's a sponsorship, not a partnership. Because you might think you're getting money out of that, but they are sticking their logo all over your car. They are putting you in their media. They are making money in other places off that. And if they cease to do so, if you're a sponsorship and not a partnership, they will drop you.
And I think that is a very, very key word here, is marketing. Because what is essentially happening with partnerships, sponsorships, no matter which one you're in, the way that it works is you will market the company, and they will market you.
Yeah.
That's essentially what you do.
Yeah, exactly that. So I think
you've also got to be careful as well who you go to, because I could go talk to, Sparko, and then I go out and be naughty and do some street skids and get papped with Spark on the side of my car, skidded the wrong way around a roundabout. That's not going to be good for their image.
And this is my point of choosing the brands and the companies that you work with. They've got to be right for what you're doing.
Because there are companies out there who wouldn't necessarily have an issue with Street-O stuff because they have a bad boy reputation. And that, again, is branding and marketing. They allow that stuff to happen because they know there's a certain part of the community that then go, well, if I'm building this for the street, that's what I should have.
And that's what I mean. If you don't mind being associated with a company that doesn't mind a bit of street racing, that's fine. But if you're not supportive of that, don't work with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Works both ways.
Exactly that. I think we've probably almost done this topic. So I think the wrap up is build partnerships. Don't just go and chase down sponsorships. Actually build partnerships. You'll get way more value for yourself as a human being out of a partnership than you will out of just getting someone's money in a sponsorship. The partnership that we've all got with Bryn, for example, will pay off for Bryn one day when he releases parts. But for now, it benefits all of us because we get to pick Bryn's mighty engineering brain whenever we want and have a resident engineer on our podcast. And,
no comment, Bryn.
He's
And never underestimate for a small business or your friend that actually the value that you could provide to them is just some enjoyment. It may be that they want to help you just because they like seeing you do what you do, and they won't get a financial return on that. But
I know.
it's a better way to spend their money than drugs.
Taxes.
Bryn is.
Oh, that's a whole side topic, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast.
I mean, I gave Ryan £300 worth of apparel this month.
That never happens, Milton.
I'm putting you on the spot. Can I have
HMRC just before I've got to submit the 2021 books.
I'm putting you on the spot. Can I have a new T-shirt?
Yes.
And if you put a swoosh in, I'm just going to keep putting it up.
No, Milton can have a new T-shirt. And the really important thing to remember when you're dealing with a partner or a sponsor is to define all terms before you ask for just a yes. And you'll all find out what Milton's T-shirt is, because when your new T-shirt arrives, Milton, you're going to wear it in a podcast, aren't you?
Oh, well, yes.
Good. There we go.
As long as it's safe for work.
It's safe for work. Don't worry about that.
Couldn't be too shocking, could we?
Couldn't be too shocking, no. So getting back on topic and wrapping up. Build partnerships, don't go after sponsorships. I prefer people who come to me for a partnership because I feel like they want to work together rather than just rinse my wallet, personally. And as a small business, wanting to work together with someone's really important for me. Make sure if you're approaching larger businesses, you've got a 5-year plan because they're going to want to invest. They're going to want to talk about things. If you're competing, get a driver book together. Send that out to people. And then the really important thing, the title for this episode is, what did Mr JWW do wrong? And the answer to that question is, don't trust an agency to blindly contact people to try and find sponsorship deals for you, because it's full of salespeople, and I hate to break it to you all, but salespeople will do shady things to close deals. And one of those shady things that you don't necessarily know about might be contacting someone that you really want to work with and demanding more money than they've told you that they're demanding so they can line their pockets as well. That is where Mr JWW went wrong in this whole thing, because he doesn't know 110% what his agency is doing.
If it was him.
Allegedly.
If it was him.
Allegedly.
Slash disclaimer.
Slash disclaimer. Slash, I've got no money anyway, so what's he going to take? So, yeah, thanks for watching another week. Next week, I don't think we finalised the episode for next week, so put in the comments what you want us to talk about next week, or maybe we'll latch on to another news story and run with that and be off topic for at least 40 minutes of a podcast.
And that would be well exciting, because I have no idea what's going on in the real world. So it'll be like a surprise for me what we're talking about.
It's weird, Bryn not knowing what's going on, because he knows everything. Except for adult things.
Except for what's going on in the real world, yeah. So to everybody who's liked, subscribed, watches the whole episode every week. This week, by the way, to the 7,000 people who've now watched our videos across the whole channel.
7,000 people have watched us
7,000 views across the channel. That's pretty cool, because we said maybe 4 weeks ago we just ticked past 6,000. And we're a small YouTube channel, right? We're not influencers. No one's approaching us anytime soon to give us free stuff. We're just four mates who do car stuff and talk about it.
Have you used my discount code on G Fuel?
Have you got a discount code on G Fuel?
No, but that's what all the influencers do, isn't it?
Yeah. You could use my discount code on the Violent Running website, which is BAM10, and there's 5 of them this week. There you go. There's a discount code for you all.
That's sponsorship.
It's different when I'm sponsoring myself, though, isn't it, Bryn?
That's just a discount code.
That is a discount code. And as soon as I've finished editing the episode, I'm going to set that up on the website. 5 uses. That's it. When it's gone, it's gone. Yeah, we really appreciate all you guys who are watching right to the end. And that's why occasionally we will drop a random discount code that nobody knew was happening in an episode.
Hashtag rehearsed.
Yeah, really well rehearsed, because I surprised myself that I just did that. So thanks for watching. Thanks for watching another episode. I've been Bam. He's been Matt.
Right.
He's been Bryn. And he's been Milton.
Bye.
And yeah, I deliberately got that wrong because I can't get it right every episode.
That's reasons.
Reasons. Logic and reason.